Welcome to Turnbuckle Trash Talk, Turnpike to WrestleMania. This is our weekly Road to WrestleMania show where we kind of give you an update of what happened on Raw and SmackDown and any pay-per-views up until WrestleMania. I am your officiant, Kent. Joining me at this time is the legal man, Mark Charles. Let's talk about what happened this week, actually kind of the last 2 weeks, with Elimination Chamber and the Raw and SmackDown leading up to it and Raw and SmackDown after it. I mean, I think we can sum up last week, at least in a few short sentences. Becky Lynch got suspended by Vince McMahon, even though she apologized and was about to be reinstated. She got suspended and replaced by Charlotte Flair. And then Kofi Kingston's amazing week. I think those are the two major things about that week that happened. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Yeah, I think Kofi Kingston stands out quite a bit. I love it. I'm really liking that he's getting this opportunity after over a decade of proving himself. So it's really fun. It feels like a little bit of, it might be a little superficial and some of the fans might have got a little more excited than they should have. But if the fans get excited enough, believe that we might, see Kofi Kingston end up doing something really exciting, and it would be well-deserved if so. On to Becky Lynch and Charlotte. My take on that right now is that I think that they're trying to really bring that Charlotte and Becky Lynch feud up as high as possible, with, of course, Ronda Rousey as the centerpiece. And they're using the authority, Triple H and Vince McMahon, and the angle that they typically use right before WrestleMania for the top angle. They're using it for this women's championship angle, and I think that's because they want to main event the angle, and they're doing everything they can to give it that juice to be a main event match. I have no problem with it's not about gender or not gender, but it's just as far as draw and money, like main eventing WrestleMania is usually the biggest draw. So are you sold on let's say Ronda Rousey was to match up with either Charlotte or Becky, either one of them. Are you sold on them being the main event and being that draw?
I was sold on the idea of Becky versus Ronda. I think the addition of Charlotte is unnecessary. And if I'm being completely honest, I think they put Charlotte in that match so she can take the pin. So whether it stays on Ronda or it goes to Becky, Charlotte's going to be the one to take the loss. And I think they feel kind of indebted to Charlotte, that she wasn't in the first Royal Rumble, that she's not in this first tag team championship, that they feel like they owe her this, like, if it's going to be a main event, it has to have a flair in it, which I do not think is necessary. To be completely honest, I don't think it's necessary.
In a previous show, I did say, do they take the Flair name, or do they take Becky Lynch that might not be hot in a few years? I kind of regret saying that a little bit. I think that Becky Lynch is... you do what's hot right now, and I kind of do regret saying that, so I totally understand what you're saying.
No, and I totally get where you're coming from, too. Like, Charlotte has already proven herself to be the top of the women's division leading up until Ronda and everything since then. But we've seen it. We saw that match happen. And I feel like all they've done by turning this into probably a triple threat, I think we can guess that at Mania it's going to be a triple threat.
As a main event at WrestleMania, a triple threat with the three Charlotte, Becky, and Ronda, you really believe that? I just don't think it's good. I don't think the smart money is on a triple threat match.
I don't either. I think it's got to be Ronda versus Becky.
Now here's where a triple threat match is totally favorable to the whole angle, is that if there's two people who are really, able to carry a main event match in there with Ronda instead of just one, I think that helps quite a bit, because I don't know that Ronda, it is what it is. Ronda's an amazing performer. She's done so amazing. She's done well. She's done all, there's all these little knocks on her, but that's fine. You have to understand, she's hit the ground running at the highest level possible. She's amazing. But as far as carrying the main event match at WrestleMania, having a triple threat, I think that's the one pro. But I just feel like WrestleMania, the last match, that's the, triple threat. That just reminds me too much of, the Attitude Era, when it was just, a little bit, it was a little more Wild West at that time with what kind of matches would happen.
Even WrestleMania 20, you saw, the match was supposed to be Triple H versus Chris Benoit. And here comes Shawn Michaels. He knocks out Chris Benoit and signs the contract, and it becomes a triple threat. Like, we have seen this storyline in its own way done before. And yeah, it was probably the best match of that entire show, but you don't need to do that. We saw Charlotte Ronda. It happened at Survivor Series. That was supposed to be Becky Ronda. Like,
All right, if we beat this horse anymore, we're gonna end up getting Me Too'd. So
that's true.
So let's wrap it up. What
else we saw? We saw Finn Balor take the Intercontinental Championship. I think long overdue. He should have had a title on him back.
Totally
since
agree.
He's come back. So that's just a good change to see. We'll probably see Bobby
Yeah.
Lashley chase the title at Fastlane, but hopefully they will move on to something new come WrestleMania for him with that Intercontinental title.
Well, I do hope that they keep Finn Balor strong, and if anything, if he has a back and forth with like a Seth Rollins or something like that, where that's fine. But if they take the belt off him anytime soon, it's just sad because a guy like Finn Balor, he's about 39 years old or somewhere around there. And they just haven't given him that push yet, and he's a fan favorite. And he hasn't even really done anything. Like, he hasn't done anything extravagant or anything huge yet. The hype he had coming in was real because he's so talented and he's an amazing performer. And he just hasn't really had that chance, in my opinion, to just really shine. He's had great. I mean, he's wrestled Brock Lesnar. He's been a world champion for a day. And all these. But it's just he just hasn't had that substance, that body of work in the WWE, and he's fucking due for that. Like, Finn Balor is due for it. Seth's got it a little bit, but Finn Balor, he needs to match up. They need to just let Finn and AJ and Seth and Samoa Joe and a couple of those guys with that ROH style that had amazing matches. They need to just let them run wild. Like, 6 of those guys, just let them switch feuds up for the next 3-4 years and let them have great matches.
Well, Seth's got his great body of work, and he's got this great match with Brock Lesnar coming up, which there is a story going into for years now. Like, if you thought Roman and Brock had a story, like, Seth is just as much a part of that story. And I think that Finn really belongs on SmackDown. With the way they've built these shows, imagine Finn versus AJ, Finn versus Daniel Bryan, Finn versus Mustafa Ali. Like, the comparison of who he could put good matches on with to SmackDown just makes SmackDown the place he belongs in my mind. Or they need to reshuffle Raw and SmackDown so that he can have some better feuds on Raw. But I'm glad to see him with the title now. That's good news. Moving on to that, let's say Sasha and Bayley, first ever WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
Just stop, Kent. Stop. It's too late at night for that shit. Move on. I'm sorry. Come on, dude.
It was expected.
I love them, but right now the way that they're being used with Nia and help me out,
Tamina.
and Tamina and Nia Jax, it's just the way they're being used. And Sasha had organically had the rocket strapped to her.
Right.
Not that long ago, she was doing so well, and I'm not sure what happened. But she was kind of the one that was ahead of the pack, and I don't know what happened, but I'm just not liking it, and I don't like the tag team championships for the women the way they're being used either, because it's two people who had a lot of hope and a lot of potential a couple of years ago, and then now they're just kind of being pushed.
A placeholder for single stars they've got nothing for.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I think if anything, if they're gonna have the women's championship and bring it out of nowhere, have some women's tag teams. Bring the Bella twins back. And excuse my ignorance, I'm not sure if both of them are healthy to wrestle.
They are.
Sorry.
Yeah, they are.
But hello, the Bella twins they're the most popular tag team around. They have their own TV show. They should be the tag team champions. That's my point. That's the end of my statement.
No, I could get that.
Bella
I have no interest in seeing it, but I could totally get that.
No, I get it, but you know what? Bella twins are a lot like, they're Brian and gosh, I'm having brain farts. It is 2-something in the morning. Brian, Nikki Bella, they don't have the best in-ring work. I get it, but they do have a long tenure with the company that gives them this certain aura that when they do something now, it's important. So
no, absolutely, and I think them with teams like Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan, who have been a team since they came up. The iconic
and by the way,
team.
the 4 horsewomen.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That's something we just saw happen. Who was it that at the end of a match threw up the 4?
Sasha, after she lost to Ronda.
Yeah, that's just that's another hanging angle that okay. So if you I'm just now, this is kind of hitting me. If you really want to supplement Charlotte and Ronda wrestling, you bring in the 3 people who complete each of their horsewomen, because they both have their own 4 horsewomen stables.
Oh, for
sure. You bring each of those 3 in, and you somehow make that an angle, and that's
Well, I think
fire.
that's next year's Survivor Series. If I'm being completely honest, I think we will see horsewomen versus horsewomen at the next Survivor Series.
That'd be interesting.
I think that Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke are down in NXT right now, and they need a lot more time before they'll be ready to go. Shayna Baszler's all ready to go, and obviously all of the WWE 4 horsewomen are ready to go. But, yeah, I think that's just going to be some time in the making. And I felt like they're kind of like they were writing themselves in that direction and then shifted course again. So I'm not sure where they're heading with that. I think they just don't want us to forget that it's in the back of their mind, that they have that plan eventually. And,
okay, can we talk about Brock Lesnar now?
Let's talk about Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins, Universal Championship. It's going to take forever, but we'll get there eventually. That's just it. It's going to be 8 weeks of build or 9 weeks of build until it happens. That's just it.
Well, yeah, we might see Brock twice.
Yeah, we'll see Paul Heyman a couple of times.
We'll see Paul a lot. I think Paul's going to be there quite a bit. I wish they'd put Paul with someone else. Brock always, but Paul is so good and he's so available that he should have like a stable. They don't have to be together. Like Bobby Heenan's stable was rarely ever together.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I say turn Ronda heel and put him with Ronda.
I totally agree. I've been saying that. Absolutely, dude. That's what Ronda should have had from the get-go. She needed a mouthpiece.
Absolutely.
Because she can work. I mean, she gets it and she tries.
The in-ring prowess is there. It's the acting, which is funny because she is an actress and she is in movies, but it's not. It's none of the character work is there. She can't help but smile because she's still a mark at heart, which most of them are, but she can't hide it. So when
these athletes that are actors are not real actors. And when you see them in a movie, like Michael Jordan in Space Jam, you know how, like, if you watch every scene, like, it's so obvious that he's, like, doing a scene with a camera, and this is my line, and I'm saying it. And it's like, there's nothing, and that's how most of Ronda's stuff is, too. Like, none of it's real. She's not, and that's why I never really expected her to be a great actress, or to be, because in the UFC, I digress. In the UFC, Ronda made her money by being being mean, like a super mean badass. And when she first came in, she was smiling, and it was like obvious that she couldn't really hold it back, even if she wanted
pointing to the sign.
Just all of it, the mannerisms, none of them were adding up like for a main event wrestler. And
no.
And it's like what they needed is for her. This is what she should have done from the get-go. Just like Brock Lesnar, she should have just came out the first time she's ever seen on WWE programming and just annihilated a few, like 3 people, and Paul Heyman or even someone else, but Paul Heyman come out with her and him just laughing with his arms crossed, just laughing while she's annihilating people, and she's mean. In the UFC, she made millions of dollars by making this mean face and getting in girls' faces and clenching her fist, and that was her thing. She did not smile in the UFC. I guarantee you, she was not a smiler. Only after a fight, when she won and she's talking to the press, she'd be more relaxed. But she's not. She wasn't much of a happy-go-lucky. And that's fine.
She could totally still be that way.
That's what she needs to do.
Everything else, but yeah, I'm not sure if it's
she's
too little.
She's
too
kind
late
of there
for that,
now.
But
she's a little bit. Well, she's kind of there now. Like, she's being that mean person. She has a mean streak, but I just feel like she should have done it from the get-go, because at this point, it's people. She's exposed herself a bit, and I think Paul could have helped her a lot.
Sure.
Look, I love Ronda. I like her as an MMA fighter and a wrestler, so don't let me get too critical here.
No, I totally understand. Last thing, I think that we can kind of gloss over is Miz and Shane lost the tag team titles to the Usos, which says no matter what, if you get a DUI or you get arrested, you can still get rewarded for some freaking reason. But that aside, obviously this is just a setup for their match at Mania. There's no question about it.
And this is funny. Do you remember like 2 months ago when Miz had like long slick hair and it was almost like a mohawk undercut?
Yes.
And he'd like slick it back. Well, now Miz has the haircut of a junior in high school who has like a 3.8 grade point average and is on the football team.
Well, they're
And
trying
it's
to make
like-
him a face, sort of.
It's so funny. He's playing this like sympathetic like victim, and he's like the guy that's getting pushed around, and I'm like, what the are we supposed to fucking believe this shit? It's garbage.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I and Miz is one of my favorites. But
No, this whole
Shane
angle is absolutely terrible. I mean,
yeah, Shane
and it goes
McMahon
all the way
has-
back to the crown jewel mistake of letting Shane win the Best in the World award.
Oh,
Whoa, you
sorry.
fell. And that's just, I mean, the whole thing's a catastrophe. I can't wait for it to be over.
me either. I think Shane McMahon ruined Miz's streak that he had, where everybody started to really like him and respect him as this top talent in Hollywood. And honestly, even if it was just a gimmick and people believed it, it was fucking believable.
Well, the story
And-
I would have written.
And Shane killed all that.
Yeah, the story I would have written was have Miz win the Royal Rumble, win the WWE Championship, and have face Daniel Bryan face him at Mania for the title. Just this whole, like, because that was the feud that fell flat on its face and went completely sour. Like, they didn't.
Yeah, Miz and Daniel Bryan definitely have a great feud. And it was so good that it got Talking Smack canceled.
Yeah, exactly. And they totally they gave it a half-assed effort this year, and I think that they could have given it so much more by having them face off at Mania. But I digress. I did remember one last point. This random 4 NXT star call-up that we just saw this week of
Sure.
Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano, the NXT North American champion, Tommaso Ciampa, the NXT champion, and Ricochet. The 4 biggest stars on NXT just got
Cool.
called up randomly when
Yeah.
they have 6 people that they have been touting calling up for weeks and have done nothing with. Why? What are your thoughts?
That I don't have I honestly don't have an answer to that, but I have thoughts on each guy, and I think all of it is positive. Ricochet, I'll save for last, but so I'll start with just obvious results that already happened. Tommaso and Gargano both debuted together as tag team on Raw and SmackDown, and they both got put over on Raw and SmackDown clean against Raw.
Solid
main,
teams.
main
The
roster
Revival
guys.
and the Revival and the Bar.
And Cesaro and Sheamus, exactly. So they're put over on Raw and SmackDown 2 days in a row as their debut. So I think that Triple H, by the way, Tommaso is trained by Walter Killer Kowalski, which is Triple H's
Triple
trainer,
H's trainer,
which
yeah.
tells you Triple H is gonna probably, as long as he keeps his nose clean, he's probably gonna keep him good. And then Aleister Black, I love that he has the MMA gimmick. I think it's cool. And then Ricochet, 10 years ago when I was hanging out with, not 10, about 8 years ago when I was hanging around Teddy Hart up in Canada, Teddy would always tell me that the best wrestler in the world is Ricochet. So it's cool to see Ricochet in the
No,
WWE.
and honestly, they were all main roster ready before they even signed with NXT. I think my only issue is why? What are they going to do with them? They have nothing ready for any of these guys, and frankly, NXT still needs them. You've got 2 of them, the 2 main champions on NXT, and like it's just not
that
time.
makes
If they
Well,
can't,
hey, you know what? I have a little theory on that, and NXT's been so weak lately, and it's not Tommaso or Gargano's fault. It's just because all of the people with world-renowned names have been basically moved to the main rosters at this point. You know, basically everyone has Gargano and Tommaso are both big names in the independent circuit before NXT, but they're not like AJ Styles or Samoa Joe or Finn Balor. They didn't have big names. But here's my theory. Then go into Raw and SmackDown now, being the champs on NXT and then having that notoriety, and then going back to NXT now. I think that's doing wonders for NXT.
oh,
I think
for
that's gonna
sure,
be
for
great.
sure. And I think like my problem with it was they brought up 6 people that they didn't do anything with anyway, with EC3, Nikki Cross, like Heavy Machinery. They've completely screwed up their call-up, so I just
Is
think this
Nikki
was
Cross the one that screams?
yes.
Okay, by the way, just so you know, my brother filled me in on this. Nikki Cross, look it up. She is one of the most beautiful people on the roster.
She's gorgeous, yeah.
She looks nothing like what her gimmick is.
Yeah.
And I don't know that a lot of people know this, but she looks nothing like her gimmick. She's literally one of the like sexier girls like that you would never imagine. You just wouldn't know it because her gimmick and her makeup for her gimmick, it's like...
No, she does dynamite work. No, absolutely. So anyway, that's kind of our wrap up for the week. We kind of covered all the hot points of the week, and we'll try it again next week and get some more information. But so far, what to look forward to is to just see what the hell they do with all of this. If this NXT thing is going to be more than a 1 week flash in the pan, or if it's going to be a multiple week thing.
No, I don't think it's a flash in the pan. Not to cut you off, but I do believe that this is the coming up of new stars. But what's cool is they're not waiting until the day after WrestleMania. They're doing it right on the road to WrestleMania. So
hopefully it means good things. Hopefully it really does. So anyway,
well, I think they'll be on WrestleMania. I think Tommaso Gargano. I think they'll be.
I hope so.
On WrestleMania.
I hope so. But I've also been disappointed before. Needless to say, with what they've done. So,
shout out to all the Turnbuckle trash talkers. Remember, this Turnpike is toll free.